Into this week's episode of Entrepreneurial Impact, where I've got an amazing guest, a friend and colleague of mine, Claudia, that operates a real estate brokerage out of Miami, Florida. And when I heard her journey and then getting to know her a little bit more with some of the memberships and affinity groups that we've been connected to, I was like, okay. I came out of Miami in a conference. I was like, Claudia, I need you on the show. And we've had some fun times with my schedule and whatnot. And so I'm excited to have you on today because I think like the power of persistence and like just general drive and tenacity is something that like your story like really just resonated with me of like there's a lot of people that have challenges in their life and there's people that turn those challenges into like serious opportunities, and your journey was very inspirational to me, and I wanted to get you on just to say, hey, how did you go from Colombia to Miami? What have you built in Miami in real estate? And just really understand your impact and journey so other people can see that they can achieve the same type of success that you have. So I'm going to kick it over to you and like what's your story?
Thank you so much for having me. Well, I'll tell you this, it's been fun. It's been fun. I do love what I do. And even yesterday, I was just saying, I don't think I will do anything different. I will not change industries. I don't know how tough it can get. When you're doing something that you love, you can actually get through the up and downs. So I think, why have I gotten to what I've gotten? And I think the true answer is because I really love what I do and I love impacting people's life. I love helping people. So my businesses are around helping people, all the way from helping a buyer buy a home, selling a home, getting agents into the right environment so then they can be more successful and build a successful business, bringing opportunities to my country back once I enjoy the opportunities here. So it's really all because I love helping people. So I moved from Colombia in 2003. I went to Spokane, Washington, and the reason I got there is because I was looking for a place to learn English. And some of you know the story that I'm really bad at geography, and I thought that I was going to Washington, D.C. I didn't know there was to Washington, so I ended up in Spokane. Really great mistake. I built a phenomenal business. I lived there about 10 years, and I started as an agent in a team representing buyers. Later, I learned how to work with sellers. Then I realized this is a business model. So I launched my own team. And within 5 years, I found my replacement. And that was basically by year number 10 that I was in Spokane. And we were doing about 250 transactions at the time. That was about 11 years ago. And I said, I don't want to live in the cold anymore. And I went to look for places to move. And I had in mind San Diego because I think it's beautiful. And Austin was another option. I never thought of Miami because in my mind, everybody spoke Spanish, and it never occurred to me that I was going to learn English anyway in Miami. But at this point, I spoke English, and I said, my conditions were I want a city that is closest to Colombia, has more diversity, and that is by the water. And I went on a trip 11 years ago, 12 years ago, and I came through Miami, out of the United States, and back through Miami, and I fell in love with the city. I had no clue what I was going to do. I knew because of my skills and what I had just built, I was able to maybe go to another brokerage, maybe become a coach. I wasn't concerned about what I was going to do. I was so excited about moving out of Spokane and the cold weather and getting to the beautiful ocean that I was like, I'm just going. So I made the decision to move again, right? When I moved to Spokane, I had no clue where I really was going or what I was going to do. I was going to study English. My only plan at the time was I'm going to stay in the United States as a legal alien. I'm not going to be illegal. I'm going to find a way to stay in this country. And I found a way. I was a student visa. Then I got married, launched businesses. So everything fine. When I moved back to Miami, it was kind of the same thing, but the other way around. Okay, let me go 3,000 miles south. Now I speak English. I'm a citizen. I know the system, but I have no clue what I'm going to do. But I know I'll figure it out. And
Mm-hmm.
then within maybe about 2 months, I found the opportunity to become a business owner and own a brokerage. And that's my very first franchise that I took over. I've been running that franchise for about 11 years. And in the process, I was given the opportunity to take the franchise to Colombia, which was a whole new adventure. I learned so much. I don't know how many appointments I have with legal attorneys in regards to franchise agreements, international. It was a great experience, very challenging. And I was given 6 months to find a core group, and I did it in 3 months. and I relaunched the franchise. I relaunched the country. We had a lot of success, and yeah, right now I have a 350 people brokerage in Miami. Mostly I do coaching and training and consulting, and I love to tell my agents, have my agents, grow their businesses. And I'm a mom. I have two little kids. I travel a lot. I enjoy life.
Well, I mean, it's just like there's this upbeat energy of any time. I've never, yeah, there's sarcasm, which I really value about your personality, but there's never any like negativity, and your engagement's always got
No.
a funnier humor. And I think that's the best part about like your demeanor and how you look at life. Um, I guess my first question is, so you go, why did you want to leave Colombia? What was the procuring incident of like, I got to leave Colombia. I'm going to Washington.
So there was not really like my life is bad, or no, my mom has her own company. My mom has owned a business for 35 years, a very, very good company. It was more, it started with, I launched my own company in Colombia. By the way, I study biology. I don't know nothing about biology, but I'm a biologist by career. And I had a flower business, but I had the business side of the flower business. I wasn't even growing the flowers. And I realized within 3 months, I launched the business. Within 3 months, I was already profitable, and I was already thinking, I'm going to take this model to United States, and I'm going to live in the United States. But in order to do it, I had to learn English. So in Colombia, they teach you English from kinder all the way to 12th grade, but the only thing you learn is, hi, my name is Claudia. So you really don't learn English. So I'm like, I have to learn English if I'm going to do business in the United States. So I kind of put on pause the whole business model to come to the United States to learn English, and then go back to live in Miami and then launch the business. So that was my plan. But then I realized I was moving to the other side of the country, and I moved to the other side of the country that was really cold. And then I met a guy. This is the worst part. Okay, woman out there, don't fall in love a week after you arrive to another country. So then I met a guy, and then of course my plans to move to Miami were after. So okay, bye bye that business. And then I launched a real estate business instead. So that was the reason why I moved. I moved because I was supposed to learn English, go back to Miami, and from Miami as a hub, relaunch the flower business I had in Colombia. But yeah, no, life had other plans, which I'm glad. I did stay in Spokane 10 years. My plan was to stay 3 months in Spokane. I stayed 10 years, but I built a beautiful real estate business, and I loved it. And again, that aligned a lot with my passion of helping people. So that was the
Three,
reason why I left.
3 months, 10 years. I mean, just a drop in the bucket, right?
You know,
How real estate then? Like you get to Spokane, you meet a guy first week there, and
yeah.
you're on the West Coast in kind of a cold climate compared to DC. But how did you fall into real estate then? Because if you're like, oh well, I guess things change, but how real estate?
So when I was in Colombia, I had a boyfriend who sold real estate, and I learned a little bit about it. And I've been in sales, even though I'm a biologist. My parents have owned companies. My mom still owns a company. I always was selling something. So sales for me have been very natural. And because I've been watching my parents and my mother more so since I'm very little running businesses, to me, the concept of leverage kind of was in my head, having an assistant, having a driver, having salespeople, having the person that brings the coffee, right? Like all those organizational charts were
Hmm.
in my head. So when I had this boyfriend who was selling, I was selling in, for some reason, all my life, I would tell my friends, you should open your own business. You should open your own business. You should open your own business. For some reason, it comes down to me now that that's really my kind of the purpose of my life, to help people make money
Hmm.
so that they can fulfill their dreams. And somewhat at that time, I was just more into, you need to open your own business. Today, I tell people, you need to run your real estate sales into your real estate business. Anyway, I was studying at the community college, and I was working from Bank of America. This has been 2 years, 2.5 years being in Spokane. And one day I just got tired of being yelled at, working on my feet from 8 to 5, having to ask for permission to go to the bathroom. And I realized I was making $800 a month before taxes, which was way before the poverty line. I went, no, this is wrong. I'm going to go get my real estate license, because I was told that in the United States, They pay 6%. That's what I thought when I was in Colombia. And I went and I inquired and I got my real estate license and I sold my first house my first day.
Mhm. Damn.
The first, literally, I passed my exam on Saturday. I went to the brokerage on Monday. I had a client at 1 p.m. and I wrote my first offer at 6 p.m. And I loved it because in that offer, I was making $1,500 commission in one afternoon versus $800 in an entire month working at the bank. And I said, this is it. Now, it took me 3 months to sell the second one, and then I closed six. But that was the hook. That was the hook, and I loved it. And because Spokane is as cold as you were mentioning, door knocking wasn't an option like in Miami. Eventually, the market was really hot. It was 2005, 2006. You really just kind of needed to answer the phone and you'll have a buyer. And really fast in 2007, the market turned around. It became a very, very strong buyer's market. Inventory was 8, 9 months. And I became a listing agent and I decided to become an expired queen. And I mastered how to get expired listings. And then I launched my business in 2007.
So I'm gonna take everybody through this. So I'm like just seeing trends of success, right? So one is you had environment that was around you, and I think it's fascinating. You have a biology degree, then focused on botany, but then sales, like in real estate. So like it's an awesome like melting pot of
Yep.
experiences and skill sets. And I think what's cool about what I just said to kind of like highlight some really juxtaposition of like different skill sets and different experiences is
Yep.
that innately you had a drive, and like when you see people that are highly successful just have a drive. And what you there's this quote that I was reading about problems beget solutions, meaning like everyone thinks like I've got to have a solution for my problem first before I take it, where that's never how it happens. It's that the problem is always going to be in front of your solution. It's not until you get into the problem that you then can figure out what's viable for that example. So like or for
Mm-hmm.
the situation. So your example is like you'd be like, oh, I'm flying to Washington D.C. to relocate, and now I'm in Spokane and completely different. Like you just figured out like I had a plan for Washington D.C. I didn't really have a plan for Spokane, Washington, right? And you just figured it out. And it was like, hey, I need to learn English. This is what I'm going to do. And you didn't have kind of outside opinions, right,
Mm.
influence your decisions. Because if you had taken
No.
a lot of what most people say is like, oh, you're getting into real estate, you need 6 months and blah, blah,
Oh,
blah.
yeah.
Like if you had taken the outside experience from other people's opinions that aren't Claudia, you would have had a vision or a different perspective on an expectation of what is normal, right? So it's like people say, hey, what's normal? And they say, oh, it's this. And you're like, now you're subjecting yourself to normal. But if like you're not a normal human being like yourself, then that's not the right standard to be holding yourself again or expectations that you're capable of, which I think is everyone needs to hear that and hear live examples. Like, don't succumb to other people's expectations. Figure out what you
Right.
want and what standards you have for you and the value you want to add to provide that to others. So let me fast. You get down to Miami, you've got the experience in the sales. You now open a brokerage, and then I'll have one down in Colombia and whatnot. But why? Why did you go from sales to then leadership? What was that? Why? What was
Mm.
that motivation?
That's great. So it actually started in Spokane. I became the leader of my team and got out of sales very quickly. I actually was a sales agent for 2 years. I launched my real estate team. And I would say within 3 months, I said, okay, I can't work with buyers anymore because I am the main listing agent. I'm running the staff. I'm hiring agents. And my business partner was a listing agent, buyer's agent. I said, I need to let go of the buyers and pass it on to my team. And then I need to get into coaching because I am the lead and I'm right here and they're right here. I need to grow so that they can grow. And I need to run operation systems. And I am the manager of the team, which by the way, that actually excites me more than actually selling real estate. To me, selling a home is the vehicle to help someone and the vehicle to create a company, but it's not what excites me. I
Mm.
haven't sold a house in 14 years, but I've been in real estate for almost 20. So I moved into that leadership role really fast and I became a coach, mentor, general manager, we call it, of the team. And when I replaced myself with a CEO that was not necessarily in sales. I needed someone who knew how to run a business, that knew coaching and knew sales. I could teach them real estate really fast. And that's exactly who I replaced myself with. And he became the CEO of the company, took the company from 250 transactions to 400 transactions in 3 years. And I moved to Miami, and I wasn't necessarily going to sell real estate. I knew I was going to be someone in leadership. So the conversation with the at the moment owner of the brokerage, who was about to lose it, was, could you please come and help me relaunch this?
Mm.
And I saw an opportunity to be in leadership. Don't start from scratch, start kind of below scratch. I have to take it away and then grow it.
Yeah.
But I like that. I like the challenge because all of it is through people. And I'm all about people behavior. That's one of my things that fascinates me the most, human behavior and how we think and how the brain works. There comes the biology in me, the brain. So it was about building the right team, train them, coach them, mentor them, empower them for them to do the things that they need to do so the company can grow. And that's exactly what, when I was called to relaunch Colombia, it was a failure launching. And they told me, you want the opportunity, you have it, show us what you got. You got 6 months. And in 3 months, I built a different team, empowered the existing people, and we relaunched the business. And that's what I like. And that's what I think is my strength and what I thrive is when it comes to identifying talent and really put them in the right place and empower them to be the best they can be. And then if I do that with all the leadership team, then the organization actually grows.
Let me ask you this question. You talked about helping people, and it's obviously very clear when you're dealing with like a homeowner or seller, right? Like you're helping them through that transaction, which is highs and lows, emotions, complicated, but high financial risk, all types of different things. And there's a stewardship of that helps somebody know that I'm going to be your guardian over this, massive
Mm-hmm.
transaction. That's clear to me. And then what you just brought up is like what you liked was like, hey, I figured that one out. What's my next challenge? So I really like the chess moves of leadership in regards to putting people in the right spot so they get maximize their opportunity and give them something that gives them empowerment. And what I think is cool for everybody listening is when I think about empowerment is that when you empower somebody, I think those are some buzzwords in like corporate America. But what empowerment does is you're actually giving them confidence. You're giving them faith that Claudia, if she hired me, said she believed in Joe in this role and that we could maximize your capacity and your opportunity in this role because your skill sets and your experiences, and I'm trusting you to do that. I think sometimes we I wouldn't say belittle, but we minimize how much empowerment can actually cause impact to the individual that you're hiring for that opportunity. Because now they're like,
Right.
wow, she believes in me. She taught me these things I never not. Now I'm independent. I have autonomy. I have the ability to make decisions on my own, and I actually am in control of my life. And when we actually look at job opportunities, yeah, on the business side, but how it actually impacts the employee, it's really fulfilling because you're like, damn, I didn't realize how much confidence and self-worth I was able to give to somebody by doing that, right?
Yep.
And that's what I heard when you were talking about the doing that side of it. What do you get out of leadership now when you hire people and you talk about how do you help your employees or your strategic partners to provide that impact that fulfills you?
I love that you asked me this question because as entrepreneurs and business owners, sometimes we get so deep into the doing or the numbers of or empowering others and have them succeed that we don't look at what is it that we get. Sometimes I'm not even thinking about me, so I don't even know what I get until one day one of them comes and gives me a hug. Oh my gosh, thank you so much because you brought me here. I was able to do blah. I was able to, I don't know, I want to give you an example. I have one of my team members, she was in Montana and I was looking for that role and my entire staff was putting me pressure to hire somebody super fast. And I said, I haven't found the right one. If we have to go 6 months without that person, all of us are going to have to do the job. Found her. She's in Montana. She has a plan to move back to Miami 10 months from now. She tells me about her fiance. He's here. Within about 3 weeks after doing all the process of hiring and different times, and I said, I'm going to make you an offer. I'm going to move you to Miami in 30 days. I'm going to transfer you. And because of that transfer, because I needed her, but
Mhm.
I couldn't find that talent here. I moved her. She's from here originally. She moved back. Her plans of getting married, having a house, start a family, moved a few years sooner because I moved her here. which in her plans was going to be 10 to 12 months from now, when I get to save all this money, when we get to organize all these things. And just because I offer her an opportunity, not only financially she's better, but her personal life just accelerated a million times.
I mean, there's no better like mic drop than that. And I think for anybody listening about, leadership and helping others and impact is like you make a profound investment in somebody and then their life trajectory completely, whether that's personal or professional, it can be both sides,
Yeah.
changes like fundamentally. So to kind of close up the episode, like I always like advice to people. So you went from moving to Colombia, didn't know English, I'll just figure the dang thing out, bootstrapped it, figured out in Spokane, oh, I'll move to Miami, I'll do that. What advice do you give to people if someone was like in their advice to somebody, if you were to give yourself, sorry, let me refocus this question. Giving yourself advice 20 years ago, what would that be?
Um, don't be afraid. But that's easy to say. So let me rephrase this. Do it even if you're afraid. Calculated risk is better than not taking action. I'm not asking people go take a gigantic risk, but if you have a calculated risk, it's always worth doing it. And waiting to not be afraid of something is going to paralyze you, because fear is always going to be, because the brain is designed to protect you for survival. So any unknown, the brain is going to have that red flag, and that red flag for us shows up as fear. So don't be afraid. As in, okay, well, I get it. I might be afraid. Afraid means this is unknown. Can I calculated the things? Have I thought about the consequences? Have I thought about all the options? And if you have, go for it. It is really um, rewarding to know that you actually did it, and then it wasn't as bad as you thought in your imagination that it was going to be. And being persistent. You said something about not paying attention to what other people say or told me or what the environment was. And my one little motto that I have is, well, you don't pay my bills, so I'm not going to listen to you. So with that, if you don't pay my bills, you're having insane on what I'm supposed to do or say. And as funny as it sounds, it is really actually like, oh, wait, hold on 1 second. Who cares what they think? They don't pay my bills. I'm going to do this. And I'm a risk taker. So go and do it with fear. I jump out of a perfectly functional plane on a parachute. Believe me, I was afraid. And I still did it. And I was fine. So it's kind of like the same analogy, calculated risk, but just go take a risk.
Well, Claudia, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to go through this
My
episode
pleasure.
today. I think it goes a lot of for people's perspective on leadership, just getting out of their comfort zone and just taking risks. Because if you can do what you did to go to a foreign country with no English, it's pretty amazing what you were able to accomplish. And I think gives a lot of insight and pulls confidence that other people can accomplish the same type of feat. So, um, but also, if you have any real estate needs in Miami, Claudia Restrepo is your person. She's got a
Yes.
massive brokerage down there, can help you out with home ownership as well as training, education, and leadership from a real estate professional standpoint as well. So, I highly recommend if you need any real estate needs down there to reach out to her. And I appreciate everybody tuning into this week's episode of Entrepreneurial Impact. If you got value out of it, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share, even to get the word out there. And until next time, appreciate y'all and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.